last hour together, and so once again, Diane, thank you so much for organising this. Any questions before I get going on team development? Any questions on the sponsoring that we were doing this morning? It sounds like the big idea you're going to run with is the herbs and spices or rubs or fragrances and things like that. But any other questions or comments that you want to make about the sponsoring aspect of it? Because that's what it all comes down to, right? It's really setting the standard for your team that sponsoring is not difficult. Sponsoring is something that you just do as part of the business. Everybody's okay? All right, well, team development then, and obviously this is a huge topic. Listening in, I can hear so many good ideas coming through already. What I want to do is just keep it really simple then to some of the key points that I think make a big difference with team development. And I think I'll just try and stick to about 7 key points for you. First thing, any leader, the only way to lead your team is to actually be the role model that your team members can look to for inspiration. So it comes back to what we were talking about this morning. Team leaders, directors who sponsor, their people sponsor. If you're doing bookings, if you're getting lots of bookings and doing your shows, then that's what your team will do. So the little takeaway from that is your team will do what you do. They won't do what you don't do. And it's you can't do one thing and then stand up in front of your team and say you need to do another. Something that I am trying to instill in the leaders that I've been coaching is the whole concept of requalifying. And when you think about it, it's such a small ask, really. To become a director, we're looking at 6 personal recruits. I think, are you added on to that? Or are you part of that 6?
No, you need you and 6.
You and 6. So it's 7 people, but when we looked at it, is there a pen? Sorry, Diane, is there a... Oh no, I was going to use one of these pens. Okay, I'll get it. I have... Here's some right here. When you think of everything in terms, when you think of everything in terms of shows, everything in your team changes. So it's essentially, you become a director, it's $4,000, which means it's 10 shows, right? $5,000, 10 shows. 10 shows to qualify as a director. And if you think about that way, think about simply replacing the 10 shows, then finding another group of people to do 10 shows. It's just such a simple ask. So number 1 is be the role model your team members deserve. And that's a really tough one, but I want everyone to think about this today. If you were about to join Pampered Chef, what kind of team would you want to belong to? And the second question is, what kind of leader would you want to have? And once you answer those questions, all you have to say is, well, I'm going to become that leader, and I'm going to create that team. And it just clarifies for you, what kind of leader would I want? I'm going to become that leader. What kind of team would I want to belong to? Well, I'll just create that team, because you are 100% in control of your business. So that's number 1. The second part of it was covered yesterday in our presentation, and that is that everything is driven by fire. Fire is a word that I use every aspect of the business. It's the fire inside us that makes us do what it is that we're doing. But exactly the same thing works for your new consultants. When you sign a consultant, it's really important that you don't rush into training, rush into telling them all the things they need to know. And there's a lot of it in Pampered Chef, but just sit down with them. How many of you are conducting a welcome interview with your new people? Are any of you? I believe the welcome interview is the most critical part of team leader development. Well, Mary, you and I just sit down together and I say, look, Mary, and I'll just role play a little bit. Mary, first of all, I just want to say how excited I am that you chose my team to join. I think you're amazing. I can't wait to work with you. And I think we're going to be spending a lot of time together. So really, I just thought it was a good idea for you and I to sit down for an hour and just get to know each other a little bit. And that's how I would start the relationship. And it's building belief, but it's also building that confidence. I want Mary to know that I am super excited that she chose to join my team. So I would do that little pep talk. It isn't an interrogation, it is a conversation, but there's masses of questions that I have for Mary. Some of them are formal questions. I may know this information, but I may not. Is she married or single? How long has she lived in the area? Does she have family close by? What does the family like to do for fun? What does she like to do to relax? I love the question yesterday that the comment yesterday that came, who wasn't mentioned, even asking something as basic as, what's your favourite treat? I think that kind of stuff is really cool, because imagine if Mary was at convention or one of the regional meetings that had the chef, and she goes to a room and there's a little, what is your favourite treat, Mary?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. So name a bar.
Oh, Heath bar.
Heath bar. And it's not a Pampered Chef bar, it's a... Okay, so I find that out about...
Chocolate covered toffee.
So, and I don't know it, so there you go. So I just find out that she likes that. I note that in amongst all the questions. I might even do that by just saying, hey, look, I brought a couple of cookies with me or something. Get into that conversation, and then I'll make sure that certain things happen that she feels really special. So make that welcome interview the beginning of your relationship, because the relationship you start with your new consultant is going to set the relationship right throughout. And it seems like a lot of time to spend with a new person, but every single new person comes to you brimming with potential. Isn't that true? That they are just bursting with potential. So that's what I'm going to do in the welcome interview. I'm just going to build her belief. I'm going to tell her how thrilled I am that she's joined. I'm going to find out as much as I can about her. And then I'm just going to take her through some very minimal first steps, so that when she comes to training, which is not the welcome interview, when she comes to training, she's prepared. What kind of things, and I'm going to get you to do a bit of work this afternoon as well, what kind of things do you think are her absolute first steps? Yep, getting, and even jumping one back. Mary, start that contacts list up. That's what you're going to work from. Initially, I'm going to show you how to move beyond your inner circle of contacts, and I'm going to teach you how to book it at shows so that you meet other people. But right now, they are what you have, and you're going to have to work them. And I would talk to her about the importance of the contacts list. I would talk to her about the fact, okay, who on that list? Tell me someone on that list, Mary, who you know she'll do a show for you. You know, you basically can call her up and say, okay, it's next Thursday at 7 o'clock, and no discussion, you're doing it. And I'd ask her, you know, the best friend that you just know is going to do that. What about a neighbour? And I would take her through. I see you using the Frank, which is, you know, a great way to remind people. I just give them lists and lists and lists of thought starters. But basically, I will work with her on that list initially, because getting those first shows, when she's got a couple, what's going to happen to her? She's going to have so much more confidence and enthusiasm. I'm also going to warn her because of Planet Reality, and because I believe that disappointment is a real deflator. I'm just going to say to her, look, I'm just going to warn you, sometimes you'll call someone you just know is going to have a show and they won't do it. And that's just this business, and that's why we very quickly train you to get into, out of your inner circle of contacts into others. How many of you have had that happen to you? Like a best friend, and the friend goes, oh no, we just so partied out, and it's a real deflator. Should we share good news and bad news at the welcome interview? For me, I'd rather have her prepared for the fact that Lisa may say, you know what, I just can't fit it in right now. I'm sorry, I think it's fabulous. And I'm also going to warn her, you know, not everybody understands how the business works. So I just go through that. But you're right, contacts list, getting her first shows, what other things do we want her to do before training? You don't need to be trained to get those first shows. What other things do you think?
Her availability. When does she want to have shows?
Yeah, I think that that's a really, really important thing. I would give her, now I didn't bring them because I realized this time I was only with you for a short time. I didn't bring them, but I use blank 1 month per page calendar pages. How many of you use those? I don't use a diary. What diary are you using? Can anyone show me if they have their diary with them? Calendar, sorry. Oops, I know it's calendar, I've just come back from Australia where I've been talking. Okay, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about this. Talking a little bit about this, I would suggest strongly to all of you that you download from the internet. There are thousands of them, just the calendar that shows 1 month per page.
It's in the very back.
It's right before each month.
This is it. This is what you have to use for them. And the reason that you use this is that if I say I'm going to do 6 shows, I want my consultant to mark out when I'm going to do the 6 shows. How do I do it? I use a highlighter pen to mark the dates. Once I teach them to do that, I say, okay, so you're going to be doing 6, might be 10, but we won't worry about the numbers at the moment. Never over-talk people. If they say they can do 1 a week, don't say, well, mark out 10 shows anyway, because then they're going to have a lot of gaps. I get them to mark out when they're going to do the shows. Clearly, you have to be flexible. That doesn't mean optional. I get them to mark out when they're doing them. And then at a glance, you will know. So you know when you're going to do shows, Mary. You know what they're going to be. The only thing you don't know now is who's going to do them for you. Why do I like this? And this one, kind of, only thing that I would change about this, and I'm not telling you to change Pampered Chef things because they hate it when you do that, is that I used to put my calendar like that. So I used a ring binder calendar that was landscaper, because then I would do this, just role play. It's so good for new consultants. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight. I cannot wait to show you some of our amazing tools, and I might play the little game I'm talking about. But in the first 5 minutes, I will say to you, oh, and this is my show calendar. This is when I actually do shows. So anytime tonight you're thinking this is fun, I'd like to do something like this for my friends. And remember, our hosts never pay full price for anything. Just have a look at the dates I've got. If one fits for you, it's yours. And I teach my consultants that, just in case anyone's unsure, I don't have a team. Obviously, I'm not secretly a consultant for anybody else. But I'm talking the way that I trained it and did it. By putting their party calendar or their show calendar up front with them, I was able to teach them just to, and they turn around, whoops, I just remember I got told to say, this is my show calendar. And so it's not enough to tell people what to do. You're in the ideas business, you're in the inspiration business. So Mary, I'm also going to work out your first calendar schedule with you. You could do it this way. All you would need to put is a pot or a glass or something like that, wouldn't you? That's
Right.
all.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh,
all
yeah.
you would need to do to make it stand up. Or ask Pepper Chef to do it that way.
Yeah.
So what else do you think I would do with Mary in that first interview?
What about marking off the days that you're going to give to your business outside of your shows?
For my very first welcome interview, I just keep it as simple as I possibly can, because I just want her to know that I care about her, give her the basic steps. I think, what does everyone else think about that? That could work. I just like to keep it really simple. But it could, has it worked for you to do that, to mark out other times? I'm going to tell you what I think then. I've decided I'm going to tell you. We talk one thing and do another. We are women and we have the attention span of crickets. Isn't that true? And when you tell women to sit down and make a call for an hour, I want you to be honest with me. How many of you have spent an uninterrupted hour on the phone servicing your customers so far this year? Well, in the last 6 weeks. All right, about 3 people in the room and your leaders. What I taught my people to do, and again, most of you actually bought the Party Plan book, you'll see it in there. It was one of the best things I ever did. I had to do it for myself because I believe there are only 2 types of people. There are those who hate making calls and liars. That's my philosophy. I hated making the calls. So what I did, I used to put 10 bangles on my wrist, and I'm talking very cheap Indian bangles. You know the bright, shiny ones that glittered? I used to put 10 bangles on my wrist in the morning because I also knew I wasn't going to be in one place. We're women. you do this, you dart around, we fiddle, we go and make a coffee, that's how we operate. So telling my consultants, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to sit in one place, don't move for 1 hour and make calls. She's not going to do it. And even if she tries, her 2-year-old's going to come, Mommy. So I gave my consultants, I used to buy them for $5, I gave every consultant the bangles like I had. And I said to them this, that is a promise to yourself, you make 10 calls. You put the bangles on the left wrist. Every time you make a call, you transfer one across to the right wrist. I don't care if you sneak a call on the phone while you're sitting outside the school gate and waiting for the kids to come out. I don't care if you do it while you're making a coffee. I don't care when you do it. What I want you to do is empty that wrist out and have it on the other wrist. Now, if somebody said to me, yeah, but I work on Thursdays, I would say, well, don't put the bangles on, or maybe put a couple. But once they're on your wrist, it's a promise to yourself you'd make the calls. And it made a huge difference. I have people going on my Facebook page and getting feedback who say the one thing that changed my business was the bangles. Because if your team are making calls, it's all going to fall into place. But I am jumping ahead a little bit. I would not do that at the initial interview. The only other presentation formal I'm going to do for Mary at my welcome interview. I've already talked to her about how excited I am. Mary, I think you're going to be amazing. I just have a real feeling that you are going to be amazing. And this is what I want her to know, because I'm going to give her all my time, all my attention. I'm going to do everything I possibly can for her to get her started. As we said this morning, I'm not going to continue that right through. I'm going to have 2 tracks. But at the beginning, I'm going to give you everything. So I'm going to find out what your goal is at the welcome interview. That's the most important part of it. Tell me, Mary, if there's just one thing that you can achieve from your Pampered Chef business this year, one thing, what would it be? And you'll notice I'm on one. Just one thing. If she says money, what would you do with it? But whatever it is, I'm going to go with that goal. There's no point in training her until you've found that goal. Because I know there's going to be bumps in the road for her, there's going to be slippery patches, not everything's going to go perfect. And when that happens, I need to be able to say to her, I tell you what, Mary, I know, welcome to the club, we've all had a run of cancellations like that. It's disappointing, I understand how it feels, it happened to me. But I see you taking those kids to Disney World. I see it. And I know you're not going to quit. We're going to just get yourself back on track. So that's all I do in the welcome interview. Build her up, get to know her, find her goal, and teach her a couple of cool little tricks. Probably I'd wait the bangles until the interview. I'm going to end it this way. And you don't have to look at me, Mary, it's a bit hard because I know she's trying to be polite as I'm talking, but I'm going to look at her and say, Mary, there's just a couple of things. I know it's up to an hour, you're busy, I'm not going to keep you any longer. A couple of things I want to say. I am going to give you the best support I possibly can. There's going to be a lot that you're going to get from the company. I'm certainly going to give you all the help I possibly can because I have just got so much faith that you're going to be a success at this. All I'm asking you in return is that you promise me 2 things. That's all. And the first one is, I don't want you to underestimate the potential of your business because it cost you $159 to start. Because one of the biggest advantages of this business is also one of the biggest disadvantages. If I invested $250,000 in a McDonald's franchise and no customers came that day, or I had an infestation problem and had to be shut down or whatever, how many of you think I'd go, I'm out of here? But if I've invested $159 or less in my business, how easy is it for me to go, I'm out of here? And it's an advantage of this business, but it's a disadvantage too. How do I handle it? 2 ways. First of all, when I'm at a show and I'm presenting my kid, I say this, oh, everybody, stop what you're doing. I have to tell you about the business. That's actually how I did it. I didn't do a form. I made it really clear that that's what I was going to do. I know some of you are probably wondering how much it costs to start a Pampered Chef business with all these amazing tools. Well, I don't know exactly, but it would run into the thousands. Good news is, you don't pay it. The company basically sponsors every consultant into the business, and all you pay is $159 towards the cost of the demonstration materials. And even then, they're worth about, $580? You're going to get about $580 worth of product. But from day one, you have access to the best personal development training that you would ever experience. In fact, it's practically impossible to grow your package chef business without growing yourself. Because I hear so many people, especially if I'm at a convention and they've announced a mini kit, everybody gets all excited about the mini kit. Hey, it's only $85. If it's only $85, maybe that's the value I give it. If it's thousands of dollars, but the company's going to sponsor you in, people see the value. So I'm going to repeat that at the welcome interview. I just want you to promise me you won't underestimate the potential of the business because it cost you so little to start it. And there's one more thing. I want to ask you, Mary, to promise you won't quit until we've got your family boarding that plane to Disney World. And it's not like I'm heavy arming her, but the reason I'm having that talk with her is I want her to value the fact this is a business. Yes, we have a friendly relationship and there's going to be a lot of fun in it, but I get her commitment at the start. And when she falters down the track, I'm going to say to her, I remember you and I sitting in your kitchen and you saying to me that you wouldn't quit. And I don't think you will either. And I know, Mary, I know you've had a really bad run of luck, but it's going to change because we're going to make it change. Does that make sense for a welcome interview?
Yeah.
That's how you start a new person. Little information, big on the fire, that mutual commitment, fill them up with belief, and then set the date for training. Now, using your time effectively is so important, but the way to do that is to sponsor enough people that the only time I'm alone with Mary is at that welcome interview. Training on Saturday, I have got one more girl starting, so it's a small week this week, but we're not going to hold you up. If I only have Mary, I'm training Mary. But hopefully, I'm going to have Mary and Jeannie as well. You know, I'm going to have more people at that training. If all else fails, I'm going to look at Mary and say this. I'm going to say, we're not going to talk about this in detail right now, but one of the most amazing things about Pampered Chef is every year we get an opportunity to earn a trip. This year we have San Diego and we also have Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. I believe it's absolutely fantastic. So if you won the trip and you could take somebody with you, wasn't allowed to be your husband or your kids, someone you could take with you, who would that person be? And when she names that person, she might say, my sister, my best friend, I don't know, my neighbour, we're really close. I would say, I want you to go home and call her and say this. I have decided to start a Pampered Chef business, whatever's appropriate. I'm so excited about it. You know I'm going to ask you to do a show, but I can't help thinking how much fun it would be for us to do this together. Now, the reason I ask you to identify that person by who you would travel with, I want to know the person that she's most fond of, not the person she thinks she should name. The person that if she pictures herself on a cruise ship, or sitting outside, I might even get you sitting around the pool, have a cocktail, who's that one person that you want beside you? And I try. If it doesn't work, I move on quickly. Don't hammer points with people. In this business, I think a lot of it is something's going to work. You don't know what it is, so try everything, but don't become so rigid in your training. If Mary goes, can't think of anyone, well, the great thing is it's going to be you and I, but you're worth it. So it's Saturday, it's 10 a.m, we'll be finished by 12:30. And I'll bring some snacks so we don't get hungry. And it's done.
So you asked that question at the training?
No, I ask it right at the welcome interview.
Okay, about
Because
the trip.
otherwise I'm going to be stuck training you on your own and use of my time. If I can have two people, it would be incredible. I also think that there's a little element of jealousy involved when somebody starts a business and gets all excited and all these things are happening. And we were talking earlier, and we were friends, and now you're off doing this thing. I'm less likely to start 2 months down the track, aren't I? Because I think, well, I'll never catch up to you. But if I start you together, you could do it together. You could actually grow it together. And if it works out how I'm pretty sure it's going to work out for you, you'll travel together. We go to conventions, we go to meetings, we just have an amazing time. And your best friend, the person you care about most, doing it together is a lot of fun. So that's how I would do it. Once training starts, on my next point, and I'll just show you outline because I do get all over the place. One of the things you've got to avoid is too much information. For example, I heard you talking about recipes. I would only send one recipe out at a time. It's just something I think that I would do, just a little often. Who would agree that women have a lot of strengths, but one of the few things that we have that holds us back is we talk too much? Isn't that true? We and we have this need, and I'll tell you this, and I'll share this with you, and I know I do it myself. One of the advantages men do is they don't talk so much. Have you noticed? Have you ever had your husband come home from, I don't know, something happens in their day, your husband comes home and has a flat tire. And you say, how was your day? Flat tire. What did you do? Fixed it. Done. What do we do when we get that flat tire? We draw it out into a book. I mean, we serialize it. We keep going back over it. And it drives guys absolutely crazy. So just if you are taking notes, write this down. Words are not my friend. So, number one is the welcome interview. I know I've talked about walk the talk, but it's just getting to know. It's the goal, and it's the commitment belief that you weave through it. That's step one when a new person starts. And let me tell you how I think that this works. We all step up to the plate at exactly the same point in this business. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I can't start now, I'm behind. It's a start-up for every new person that starts up. Check's been around 30 years, but the day I signed the agreement, for me, it's the foundation of the business. The only advantage of starting after 30 years is a lot of lessons have been learned, a lot of people have travelled the track, so the skills get better and better and better. But everybody's on the same path. I am going to treat every new person as if their first stop is director. And that's just a little pause. That's only just a little rest stop, and then I'm going to keep them going through until they become a national executive director. So every new consultant starts out on that same path, and they get that same 100% quality of support, service, mentoring that I can possibly give them. I'll be focusing that way. At that point, what will happen is that some will kind of continue on the slow path, but I will identify people who have leadership potential to join the fast track. So if you simply think of it, I don't know if there's any in Louisiana, but in California, as you know, every so often the freeway just darts off on a fast track for those of us who are in the diamond lane. And, you know, it's that same thing that I think about. On the way, I'm going to make sure my new consultant, and right through, picks up every reward that she can possibly pick up. So I tell her this. One of the most exciting things about head chef is, yes, you're on a path. I don't tell her she's on a direct path. I just know that's where she's going. Every step of the way, there are going to be rewards that you pick up. Because I know the more rewards she picks up, the more confident she's going to feel, the more powerful she's going to feel, and the more fortified she's going to be when she hits those rough patches. And they will happen. There will always be bumps in the road. Has anyone had a dream run through? I know some of you have shared with me that you've been directors, you've stepped back, or you've been seniors and stepped back. That's just part of the journey, it doesn't matter. But I want her to get every reward. So my next step is to create a realistic roadmap for her. Because I think of everything in terms of journey. If you settle on too much too soon, you'll overwhelm her. And overwhelming people is one of the greatest challenges that we have, that we just overload them with stuff and they feel overwhelmed. And I want to share a little story with you that I know most of you are going to relate to. How many of you have a phobia or a fear about something? Something you don't want to do. What's yours?
I'm claustrophobic.
Hate closed-in spaces. Okay, what's yours?
Snakes.
Snakes. My husband has the snake. Yeah. Heights. So all of us, I have a few of them, but one of the ones that I'm like you, I hate heights. I just don't like feeling like I'm high. And well, so a few years ago, I actually went on a leadership retreat to Europe with a company. And I was at this leadership retreat, and the way it was worked out is that we would have business sessions in the morning that were okay, and in the afternoon, to test our leadership skills, I'm sure some of you have been on these, we were taken out and given outdoor activities. Yeah, so there were these outdoor activities, and they were brutal. We were driven into a forest, blindfolded, so we didn't know where we were, given a compass, and then told to find our way out. We had to build bridges, we went kayaking, abseiling, which I thought was amazing for some reason, even though I don't like heights. Stepping backwards off a cliff seemed to be okay, because I felt like I was hanging on, huge cliff. But every day they'd wait until we were at breakfast and they would say, this is what you're doing today. So there's a lot of build-up of what we were going to do. So one of the mornings I got up and the coach trainer came in and he said, all right guys, rock climbing. Today we're going rock climbing. And I literally felt my stomach just contract into this knot, because when we first came to the United States, I had done a lot of traveling around. I've seen people in Utah. Has anyone, like people who climb rocks, and they're literally hanging backwards off rocks. I can't understand how they do it. But rock climbing absolutely terrifies me. But I like to think that I can outwit, a little bit. So I made a decision quickly that what I was going to do, if anyone said, oh, I don't want to do it, you've got this whole mentoring coaching bit, which really drives you crazy. You can do it, we're all behind you. And I didn't want that, So I just thought in my mind, all I'm going to say is, great, let's get to the rock. But at the last minute, I was going to say, no, I'm not able to do it today. Whatever mysterious reason, not going to do it. So everyone was a little bit nervous when we were going up there, but I was quite relaxed because I already had my exit strategy worked out. I wasn't going to do it anyway. So I know we can do it. We get to the area that the rock is, and they unloaded us out of the coach into a forest area. I have to tell you, this was in Belgium, this thing, little forests and everything. They unloaded us into this area and said, no one's allowed to look at each other. You have to approach the rock one at a time. So we're in this little clearing, just standing around, surrounded by trees, and one by one, they'd say, okay, it's your turn, and lead people away. Then I was still okay, because I wasn't going to do it anyway. They finally got my name, and I got led through the trees, and I walk into the clearing where the rock is. And I thought, I can't believe this. The face that we had to climb was as high as the ceiling. I pictured something like huge. I'd imagined this Utah thing going on that I'd have to climb it. And when I looked at it, and then they had this groove that you got started, and quite deep grooves that you could use to get up. So all this I'm not going to do, and I thought, I'm gonna give it a go. If I fall, break a leg, not going to die, it's going to be okay. So then the next thing that is clever, they get you up to it and they literally hoist you up. So at that point you're you're just clinging to the rock anyway, like you've got your hands there. And they put you on it. I'm not going to fib, I don't like doing it. But the grooves were quite good and the climbs went, and I made it to the top. I actually got to the top. And I pulled myself over the edge and I felt this incredible acceleration until I realized I was on a ledge and there was another rock face. And that's why they hadn't taken us to the rock together, because they didn't want anyone to know that when you got to the top of that part,
There's more.
there was a ledge and there was another half to it. But when you're standing on that ledge and you look down and think, I still did that, you have this motivation to do the next part. And even though it was a little tougher, I felt the grooves were not as deep, and I'm not going to say I enjoyed it, but I made it to the top. Except the rock was actually in 3 parts. It was the most incredible formation. But I got to the top of that rock. I think I lost my fingernails on the second part. I lost half my fingers on the third part. I mean, I was bleeding. And I think partly because I was just so nervous. But I did it, and I got to the top. And if anyone had said to me in my entire life, Mary, you will rock climb, I would have said, there is no chance. There is no chance I'll ever do it. And I realized then the importance of giving people an easy ascent. And that's the lesson for this business. If we tell people, you know what, Punta Cana, you can make it, you can do it, and you're right, it was 85,000 points for you as directors. I did look it up, it's 95 for new people. If you tell people too much too soon, they're going to do what I did, which is, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not interested. And they'll come up with all sorts of excuses, you know, don't really want to go, can't take the time off, whatever. But in reality, we spend our lives putting out those little guards against doing what we don't want to do. So here's the thing. Focus your consultant on just what she needs to know now to get what she's going to get now. Never take her more than, especially in the first month. I'm just going to tell you, I'm so excited about this month, because first of all, you're going to get your first recruit, and this doesn't happen every month. The person you sponsor is going to get a free skillet just for signing up. It's huge. Better, you are going to get a $50 Best Buy certificate. This is on top of the rewards that you're going to go through. You're going to get a Best Buy certificate for doing it. So, and you know the rewards. I don't need to turn this into a training session. But I'm going to hold out those first rewards because I want her to do that first part of the rock. I know if I can get her to sponsor one, I can say to her, you can sponsor one, you can sponsor 100, there's no different. But don't worry about it. Right now, we're going to find that second person for you. Because when you get that second person, and that's how I do it. Does that make sense to everybody? Just think rock climbing. Think in these terms. What does she need to do now to get as many rewards as possible? And therefore, what does she need to know now? So I notice little things, and you don't mind me being really, and I know some of you are taping it, but I'm just going to tell you what I think, and I don't want, please don't go back to the company and say, change this, because that's not what it's about. My ideas are just ideas that I have. But I saw something about borrowing materials. I would rather my new consultant was comfortable just with her starter kit, and just, maybe she owns a few things anyway, just with the catalogue, because I have to get her, what is the one thing I need to get her to do in month 1? Well, yeah, she needs to get her 1,250, yes.
You mean learn a product?
I need to get her booking. To me, everything will fall in place if she books. I would rather she got a booking and sold less than she sold, and I call it the cliff. People join this business. I don't know if you know the statistics. 25,000 people a day sign a direct selling agreement in America.
How many?
25,000 people a day.
A day.
Wow.
In America. Every single day. That's the good news. The bad news, and I'm not saying this is pampered chef, I'm speaking industry statistics. Half of them don't do anything after the first 3 months.
The first 3 months.
After the first 3 months. Or within, they fade away. It's what I talked about earlier. It's so easy to go, you just have to drift away. You don't even have to come up with a reason. You get to keep everything. And the reason they drift away or fall away is this. Most people in their month 1 are in a fantasy world because my best friend's going to get, my sister's going to do it, my mom might be able to get her, my neighbours, whatever. I'm going to do my own launch celebration, my launch party. And so everything's going well, and you're telling me I'm great because I'm qualifying, I'm getting my 1,250, not looking where I'm going, I'm gone. Isn't that true? And when people fall into that hole, if they do climb out of it again, it's usually with another company. Why? Because they feel like they failed. They feel a little bit like embarrassment. So for me, my month one, all I care about is getting Mary trained to book. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I will just work with a few core products. I teach her a few tips, tricks, things like that. I would get her started from day one. I'm going to say, okay, here's how you do a show. You put your products here, you put your business bags here, you put your party bags here. And Mary, you have to remember, because I'm going to be thinking of you, I'm going to be there at that show. You have to remember, book, sell, and sponsor. And I don't overemphasize the sponsoring because I want, your challenge, Mary, is you're going to put 3 party bags up, and at the end of the party, you're going to have given them out to the people you think are most likely to book. If she's got bookings in the second month, she's going to master some of the things. Plus she's going to be earning things, winning things, getting qualified. Is there any questions on that?
Would you share, I wrote this down from your first talk about shows being income for today.
Oh, that's a
Bookings
great
are
little
in-
mantra. Okay, I'll do it with you, Jenny. So, selling is your income for today. Bookings are your income for tomorrow. And sponsoring is your income forever. Now, not everyone's going to stay. Not everyone's going to stay. People come and go. We have an open door policy at Capital Chef. If you're over 18 and you can afford the starter kit, you're willing to come to training, we're going to give you a chance. But you're going to sponsor people who will be with you for your whole career. It's pretty exciting. So, and talking about that quote, I forgot to say this morning, another thing that I do, I will send you, and I don't know what happened to it. Did somebody pick up that form that who wanted their email address? I'll try and remember who was here and make sure you get it. Did anyone not want the e-newsletter? Anyone prefer not to get it from me? If your email was wrong, can you just quickly put it on a piece of paper so that I have that? But every single week I post on my Facebook page, and you'll get them. I post quotes like that you will pick up. So I have 2 Facebook pages. I hate to admit this. I made a mistake. I started a personal Facebook page, and it maxed out at 5,000, and that's it. Facebook just goes, you can't keep it going. So don't do that. Has anyone not got a Facebook page? Everyone has one? Is it a business page?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, you're smarter than me. I
Both because like I started a personal page before the
Yes, I
business
did.
page was,
Yeah.
anything. So now I have both, and that's what
I
kind of hard.
completely lost my first 5,000 people and now I have to run the 2 of them because I just didn't realise that it had a limit on it. And then I had to start again on my page. But what I'll do is I'll send you the link. So my personal one is kind of just sits there maxed out. But go onto my business one, and every week I promise you I'll post little tips for you like that. Little quotes that you can use and pass on to your own team. What I ask is if I send you something, I did create it. It is my business. I don't mind you using it. Just give me credit for it, if you will. That's how I build this. I don't do any advertising apart from that. So that's all I ask of you. I'll also post on that. So I'll send you that link. Okay, any questions about the realistic roadmap? I've got Mary on this journey. She only knows the first part of it. She doesn't actually know where she's going, but I know where she's going. And she's going all the way to director. Okay, next step. We have about 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Oh, correct.
The next thing, and I think this got covered so well, be a strategic mentor. And if you like the little throwaways, which I know you do, give your attention to those who deserve it, not those who demand it. And there'll always be different people. How do you allocate your time? Are any of you owls? You like all the facts and figures and numbers? Like Patty is? Patty, this is for you then.
Okay.
This is how you're an ED, right? So your level is a little bit different. I'll do both. New person, 100% personal activity. Do your shows, book, sell, and sponsor. When you become a director, 50%. Team leader, no, team leader's the same as this in terms of activity. When you become a director, never stop spending 50% of your time on personal activity, because that's your only security. The only security you have is people you bring into the business, because people can leave just like that. People can get pregnant, people can leave town, people can get sick of the business, people can go to other companies, all sorts of things that are going to happen. So my philosophy is I believe in everyone, but I rely on no one. 50% of personal activity. Of this is my team time. This is my personal. I spend 20% of my time making my team feel fabulous, which I'll talk about, and I spend 80% of my team time on new people and those who are performing. So that's how I do it. That's what I mean by becoming a strategic director.
I like that.
As you know, there's no security, right? Even at national. So you need to decide, and that's reflected in the company's qualifications for things like, the Punta Cana. I progress people to this next. 30% personal activity. Same thing here. And this is on my breakaway leaders, my breakaway directors. I'm spending that time, so it's a third. But I'm still dividing this.
Okay.
This goes into here. But I would probably apply the same thing here. If I had a director who wasn't doing anything or doing very little, I would still allocate my time accordingly. Does that make sense? You can see it? And I'll leave it up there. But never stop doing your personal activity, but allocate. It's called being a strategic mentor. I just want to share with you the stories that have really impacted my life. And I haven't learned these things by sitting in my office coming up with them. I've learned them by the fact that I've made every mistake you could possibly make. I'll just quickly tell you my first story when I joined this business. I mentioned right yesterday that at 22, I woke up one day and found out that I was to be the sole provider for my kids. What I didn't say to you is my first instinct was to go straight back teaching. That's what I did. I just headed straight back teaching. And every morning I would drop my children with a babysitter, go to work, at the end of the day, I'd pick them up, bring them home, and I used to drive home saying to myself, I know about being, the quality mom, I know about the quality time. But what I was thinking in my head, the moment I picked them up and got them home, all I could think of is I had this checklist. I have to feed them, play with them, bath them, get them into bed. And instead of being happy, it was like, that was how I really felt. So I was kind of talking to a few people. I think I need to start working part-time. I did my budgets. I was thinking about finding a school closer to home, all of those things that I was thinking of doing. And this isn't how I think that we build a business with relationships. But I happened to pick up a local paper, just one of the free papers, and someone had put a little advertisement at work from home. And this is how naive I was. I called the number, and the woman sounded so nice, and she said, oh no, you sound fabulous, I'll come and see you. And I thought, oh, I sound fabulous. I really felt I sounded good on the phone. She came round that night, very well dressed. She walked into my house, interviewed me 20 minutes. And you're not going to believe this. I got the job. It was literally how it worked out for me. But I did everything wrong. Everything wrong. I didn't book. I did it the hard way. And I remember she left the house. I had this cardboard box. It was my demonstration cosmetic skincare. And I just picked it up and went to a neighbour. And my neighbour placed an order. So I'd been in the business 5 minutes, and I had an order. And I remember thinking, this is it. I'm just going to conquer the world one neighbour at a time. That's how I was going to do it. One day, I'd been in the business about 3 months, not longer. And I literally, you would never see me. It was attached to me, my starter kit. I eventually got a cute little bag, but it was literally attached to my hip. I had baby there, the kit there. and people would buy things, but I was completely oblivious. And one day I walked outside my front door, just as a neighbour was coming outside hers, and I kind of waved out to her, "Oh, I'll just pop over," and she quickly backed up and shut the door. And I remember thinking, oh, she can't have seen me, no. But I knew she had, and it gets worse. Everyone, all the neighbours, had called me behind my back, Scary Mary. And the idea was Scary Mary, just don't let her come anywhere near you. And they were just buying stuff to get rid of me. So I've done the whole predatory thing. I've done the, but the great thing about this business is, you know, if it's not working for you, you're not doing enough or you're doing the wrong things. And because for me, failure wasn't an option, I just started learning how to do it right. So a lot of what I'm telling you now, I've made this next mistake. I have given far too much time, once I got the courage to sponsor, far too much time to people who I wanted it more for them than they wanted it for themselves. But you look fabulous, you've got to be good, you've got to be good, you know, you're my consultant. And nothing will happen if you take that approach. You have to give your team time to your producers. That's how you have to do it. And, you know, the lessons we learn aren't just in this business. The story I was going to tell you is that another thing, I've got this thing about overcoming my fears, as you probably gathered. I'm not too fond of horses. Anyone else like me?
Yeah.
I hate horses. I mean, I like them over there, but close up, they're ugly and big and horses. But my husband had this thing that we would go horse riding and we would overcome our fear of horses. So we chose this very, very basic trick where the stables, they line you up, they plod you through a canyon. And we did this, we turned up at the stables, and the first thing they said is, anyone a little nervous? And I'm like this, so that I'd be the first one. And he said, oh, we'll give you a quiet mount, you'll be fine. But I could see the look, we'll give you that. Well, what happened, I got on my horse that was supposedly going to be really, you know, docile. And it just plodded back into the stable to get something to eat. And you've got the stable, the thing's coming in my head. I had to do this to get in. But then I was stuck in there like this for ages. And nobody took any notice. They were mounting everybody on. Excuse me. And then the guy walks in. And he yanks the horse out, didn't even say anything to me. I mean, that's how it was going to go down, because you know those guys are pretty basic. I start on this trek, and the guys disappeared, and there was some fabulous young girls took us, two young women that were taking us. And it was this canyon that was incredible. But I literally was so petrified. The first little bit was okay, and then we went down into the canyon. The moment we went down, I just got this real fear. In fact, honestly, I gripped that horse so much it's still got dents in it. You know, I couldn't walk. I must have just literally clamped onto that horse. But it wouldn't do anything that I tried. It walked right on the edge. It was a trail, and I could see the stones going down into the canyon. I mean, it was just, I'm sweating, I'm gripping, I'm hating it. And we get down to the bottom, and I'm literally terrified. We go into a river. You went into a river, and then you just did the climb up. And I thought, well, at least the climb up, I'll be looking this way. Well, I hadn't noticed anybody. I was so self-centered and so self-absorbed that I'd not noticed nothing. When we get to the river, a bunch of people started saying, is this all it is? We're going to do more than this. Like, we're not just, you've had this happen to you. We're not just going to trek. I mean, we're going to get a chance to do something better. And I'm thinking, should have read the flyer. One of the girls goes, is everybody in? And I'm going, no, we're not. And they decided, they gave way to this group, all who turned out were, you know, just a young group who were all together, that they wanted a chance to canter or gallop up there. And so the girl must have seen my face, and she said, okay, everyone, we're going to give it a go, but if anybody feels a little nervous, just call out stop, and we're stopping. So then the pressure's on me that if I call out stop, everyone has to stop. that we come out of the water, I look at it, and and we start. Has anyone cantered on a horse? You literally,
You're bouncing.
you're literally bouncing on it, and I'm already hunky. And so it was about 5 yards, bop, bop, and thankfully somebody just screamed out, stop. It was me, but and they pulled us up, and they were just looking daggers at me. I mean, the anger, and it was so bad that the two girls got together and came back to the group and said, okay, everybody, what we're going to do, we're going to, those of you who want to give it a go, you're going to go with Ella, whatever, and anyone who wants to take it slow, can go with Stacey. But at that point, I didn't care. It was like, I paid, you're changing the rules, I don't care. They took off, including my husband, who forgot he was married. He didn't even want people to know that he was with me. And I was alone with this girl, and I turned to her, and I said, my horse spent the whole way, and I started telling her why I'd done it. And she looked at me, she must have been 18 if she was lucky. She looked at me, and she said, the reason you called stop is you're old. Oh. And I'm like, and I said, no, you didn't see. You weren't even looking at me, my horse. And she said, I'll tell you why I say that. Because every time we get anyone older on the track, all they do is focus on falling off, and they're the only ones that do. She said, all the young ones get on the horse, and they just focus on having a good time. And I'm looking at, and I'm still trying. I'm saying, no. And she's going, that's all it is. You weren't in danger. You weren't going to fall off. And she's just looking at me and calling me on my excuses, which is why I had that phrase yesterday. You can't make excuses and money at the same time. You can't make excuses and progress anyway in your life at the same time. And she's just looking at me. And my whole thing is, I know, I didn't. She said, did you see anything? No, just focused. And I just made a decision then. I said, I'm going to give it a go. And I got to the top cantering. Wow. And I tell you why I did it, because she called me on all my garbage. But it was, I mean, yeah, the rest of the Fed is about 20, and as you know, I just celebrated my 50th birthday. Yeah. Well, not 50, it's just what I'm celebrating.
Oh my.
So I just did it, and I still see this young girl. I see her face, I see her hair, I see her looking at me and giving me permission to actually get over myself and actually try something for a change. And not, because all of us have comfort zones, right? There are things that we can do, and there's things that we don't want to do. But you have to make a decision in your business, and we're talking about being a strategic mentor. You have to make a decision to lead honestly and look at someone and say, the reason you're not getting shows is you're not making the calls. You have the bangles, and by the way, you try those bangles idea, and you'll think it's the best thing I ever taught you to do. But if someone looks at you, and Claire's, places like that have them, someone looks at you and says, it's not the economy, it's not people aren't having shows, it's not this, it's the fact that you're not doing what you have to do to get those bookings. And if someone comes to me and says, I'm not getting bookings from my shows, you have to coach them out of it and say, really? Did you mention it? Because if you had 6 people at that party, at least one of them's going to book. And there's a consultant in there as well, but let's address the booking thing first, and then let's get you into it. If you carry people, if you want it more than they want it, to carry them is to cripple them. That's what's going to happen. And all you do is you teach your people to dump their problems on you and make excuses. In the same way, who's had the screaming child at checkout next to the sweets? We've all been there, and you know if you give in to that child, the next time you go to the supermarket, you're going to have another screaming tantrum. It's the same reason. It's like building a team is like raising your kids. Haven't you ever stood by your child with your fingers itching while they try and tie their own shoelace? Yes. And you just, like, your fingers are itching to just, and you don't do it because you know that some of us do it. What is your number one job as a mom? What's your job as a mum? What is our job?
Want me to tell you what
To be
I'm
able to function.
Absolutely.
I tell my children all the time, my job is to turn you into responsible, productive adults.
Yes.
That's it.
Funny enough, when I ask that question, so many people say love them, care for them, feed them, and I go, those are things you do. That's not your job. Your job is, as you pointed out, is to turn them into independent, functioning, hopefully contributing adults.
Sorry, quick time.
And every time you do something for them,
She's sinking.
you
into
teach
it.
them the exact opposite. And it's easier to say. It's easier to say than to do. So raise your team the same way you raise your children. See them as the wonderful independent directors they will become. And when someone says, oh, I couldn't make the meeting, but can you send me the notes? Go, you know what, Mary, I'm going to do it this time, but I feel like I'm letting everybody down because I said you have to come to the meeting to get them. But I'll do it this time. If somebody says, hey, where do you find? Drives me crazy. Where do you find? I no longer give those answers. I'm currently coaching a company that's fallen a little bit. I'm not going to name the company. But one of the things that I asked is a closed Facebook page so I could communicate with them on a closed Facebook page. And it's a year-long commitment I've made to get back that culture of independence and raise some more people. And I found people on my page going, where do you find? And so I just went on there, and it's not easy to do because I make a living out of being, the nice guy, but I go in there and say, look it up. It's on the website. I even had to say, this is very recent, I'm in the middle of it right now, please don't post on our Facebook page, which is all about sharing inspiration and ideas and great stuff. Please don't post things that you could find. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
And if you say to someone, who says, I'm not getting bookings, and you say, well, have you made the calls, or have you asked at your shows, and they say, you know what, I don't like people calling me on this, see ya. The hard part is letting them go.
Welcome to failure.
And not going,
wouldn't say
oh, wait, but, let's talk about it, or, and that has been a hard lesson, because I actually had somebody who I asked questions, and they had a grand opening, or, a show, their first show. This was before I was going to the grand opening shows, and she called twice on 2 separate occasions and said, I'm canceling today, and actually one of them I was planning to go to. Canceling today because no one's coming. Well, the first time we immediately rescheduled, and then the second time I said, well, wait a minute, let's talk about this. How did you invite them? Did people tell you they were coming? Did you make reminder calls? Well, yes, I made reminder calls yesterday. Well, how many people said they were coming? Well, I don't know. I don't remember. Well, did you really call everyone? I mean, did you call everyone on the list and kind of ask them if they were coming, or were you just able to leave messages? And she said, you know what? I've never had anyone ask me questions like this, and I am not rescheduling this show. And that was the end.
And that's fine.
But it was, I carried that around forever. Yes, it was like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
And maybe, and it's like any coaching we do, maybe, and we've all made mistakes. Look, I have made mistakes. I've given a message at a convention where people thought it was a little bit, I've got a bit of a sense of humor, and people thought it was, wrong. Don't worry about it. You can beat yourself up, but you have to move on. But in terms of leadership, I think if you understand the concept that I hope I brought, a new pen like that colour. Let's steal that one. If you take that concept, if you give people ideas, and I know you're talking about a host, but I'm talking about telling people about the bags, giving people the bangles, because I don't want them to know that I am
How you close your structured time.
I don't want people like on their computer when they're supposed to be listening to me at training. I want to be so amazing.
But I'm not so good.
Be in the ideas business, everyone. If I had to give you a takeaway, and clearly, if I can just, and I think I've shared enough, be in the ideas business. We're not teachers, we're not parents, we lead a volunteer army. They can do anything they want to do. which is why, going back to my bangles, and I'm not pushing that idea particularly, but one of the things that I do is I talk very much as a team, this is what we do, right from the word go, at training. Mary as a team, this is what we do. It's a lot of fun. And the great thing is, when you get through your bangles, you have to text me you've done it. And I didn't like texting either, but you have to fall in love with texting if you want to be a pampered chef leader in the future. Because it's going to take me 2 seconds to put "You're a superstar" back to Mary. It's the cheapest 2-second recognition that you will ever get. I drive the ideas that I put forward. And the host coaching, there's a whole lot to it there that we'll talk about. Be in the ideas business so that people want to do. You're not telling them. Very quickly, the last 3 points, because I told you I'd give you 7. Be a proactive leader. And I think I've made that point really clearly. Don't leave your management until it's too late to influence results. This same calendar, may I use it again? If you're trying to get it back? Can I have the calendar back? Thank you. This same calendar, I have large copies of it on my wall. And I ask all my team to call in. It's only giving me the ones who are working. I ask my team to call in advance their show schedule for the month. I write it all up. Lisa, Diane, Patty, I write it all up. And then I add up my business. Let's say I'm barely maintaining director. I need 5,000. How many shows have I got? I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 20 shows. We are sweet this month. Whoops, 9 shows. We're in trouble. And I start working on it then. I come up with ideas. Hey, let's all do a class on something. Let's all do our own show. Let's all do as a team. How else am I a proactive leader? I get rid of all my shows in the first 2 weeks of the month so I can spend the second 2 weeks of the month helping you and you. So when you're proactive, every time, because I now know exactly when you have classes scheduled, the day you have a class scheduled, if you're new, you're going to get a phone call from me, hey, you can do it, remember, bookings, bookings, bookings. Are you going to play the game? Are you good? And I give you a call. If you're an experienced team member, you're just going to get a text from me thinking of you tonight or, something like that. That if you've got a guy in your team, probably best that you don't send that text. But anyway, I'm going to send you a text telling you that I know you're doing the party. And I'm going to ask you to text me when you get in the car before you turn it on and back out the driveway. Because I can't wait. I have to know tonight what your party total is. How do I get them to do it? I get them to do this. And these ideas do work, I promise you. What does this mean?
$650.
450 sales, I didn't get any bookings, but I got a business lead.
That's what they just text you back.
Yeah. No, I text them, hey, go girl, I know you can do it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Say it's a night show. After the show, when we're sitting in the driveway at the host house,
Text you that.
they text me back.
Oh.
And you know what? I can be at home watching television,
Yeah.
but I'll still pick up my phone because we're women and we multitask, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can pick up my phone and I can say, awesome, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
the way you speak to your team. Now, Mary's new. When I call her in the morning, I know it's compulsory for her. She has to text me. Don't you dare go home without texting me because I'll be thinking of it all night. I'm not going to stay awake all night wondering what your results are. But when she calls in the morning, let's say I get something like this. I know when I call the next morning that she's not going to be she wouldn't have had a good night. She's feeling disappointed and I want to be able to bolster her up and say nice things. If she's got 900 plus 2 plus 1, I'll probably actually, even though as long as my husband's not watching, I'll probably just quickly make a call, you're fabulous, and cut off. That's how I, don't you think?
What would you text to the 200 plus
Yeah.
0 plus 0?
Oh, welcome to the club or something, because we've all
Oh.
had it.
Oh, that's good.
We've all had it, and I've covered that at training. It's all averages.
We've all had those nights, I'll
And
talk to you
we've all
tomorrow.
had it, yeah. And I've trained on that. But be proactive. You see, if I have a show knowing that you, Diane, you're my director, and you know, I'm in your personal group, you're my director, and you're thinking of me, I'm more likely to think Diane said. But if you haven't even called me that afternoon, or you don't want me to text the results, I just feel a little alone. I want you up there to know that you've got me behind you. One last thing, the 20%. The 20%, how do you spend your time with those people? It's easy. And I think Penny covered it so well anyway. You can make every team member feel amazing without spending 80% of your time. Team meeting. There's no reason why you wouldn't be doing a Monday morning 10-minute rally call to your team because of free conference calling. Just a call saying, everybody, hope you can make it, but if you can't, this group that I'm doing, I don't do every Monday morning, I've got other people doing it, corporate people. But I tried to ask one girl a question and she's whispering. And I said, I can't hear you. She said, I know because I've told my class it's quiet reading time and I'm listening on the call with my headphones. She's got the entire class in front of her, like reading quiet reading times. And Mary, what do you do when she's working with the headphones? Monthly meeting, have them. If no one's showing up, it's because they're boring. And meetings aren't just about information. They're about fun and inspiration and recognition and a little education thrown in. Weekly call, team emails, just involving people, personal things, remembering their birthday, remembering their anniversary they joined Pampered Chef, your team. Just little touches of those people will make them feel included. But it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment to those people. So hopefully, just to remind you, I still have a few books at the back, so if anybody wants to get books or audios or anything like that, they